everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ritual of Wild. I'm so glad you're here, and I am always so appreciative of sharing your most precious resource of time and being in the company of it. Thank you so much for helping me keep Ritual of Wild alive. Today, I am so excited to share my episode with you featuring the fabulous Lenka Lutonska. I came across Lenka's work through my own inquiry around creativity and business and energetics and how all of these things intersect and now they can all weave together to create an experience that could help expand beyond the perspective of what we know up to that moment in time. Lenka Lutonska is the founder of Business Energetics, the go-to mentor for industry leaders when strategy stops working and when they're ready to scale through identity, energy, and unapologetic self-leadership. From working at McDonald's for 6 years and losing a wildly successful business, Lenka rebuilt everything from the ground up. What emerged was a global brand rooted in energetic mastery and soul-aligned growth. Lenka is also a certified NLP master coach and trainer, and she helps women collapse time, lead movements, and grow not by doing more, but by being more. This is business beyond logic, and Lenka is here to make sure you don't play small in a world that you came to lead. And you'll notice throughout the thread of our conversation how beautifully palpable Lenka's energy is. It's so honorable to be in conversation with every one of my guests and learn the magic behind their stories. And one thing that I have noticed as a common thread that is weaved throughout the journey of my podcasting is that each of these guests have such a beautiful way of honoring the past self that brought them to all the expansion and success they're experiencing this day. And that it's possible for everyone. So many of them emphasize that if they can do it, so too can we. And that the difference between someone that is in that journey and not is sometimes simple as a shift in our mindset. And my conversation with Lenka is nothing short of all of the wisdom and nectar that can be offered up from learning from our discomfort and from all the circumstances in life that we try to rush past, when really so much of those circumstances can teach us about how to grow and scaffold towards that which we want to create. Each of us listening, I know you have a desire in your heart that has been speaking to you. For some, it's louder than just a whisper, and it's been with us all along. And like Lenka says, if you have that desire, I truly hope you come to this episode with not a hope, but a belief in bringing that desire to the world. Because if it's coming through you, then it's possible to be birthed through you. And that desire is going to touch so many other hearts as well. Again, I'm so glad that you're here. And if you know anyone that might benefit from this episode, please share it and like and subscribe to my podcast on Spotify. And if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. And it is truly such an honor to steward these conversations for all of us. Thank you. And without further ado, here is our conversation. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here today with Lenka Lutonska. I feel nervous to speak with you, Lenka. And I can only attest that to my own experience of intersecting with your work. I came across your work while looking up information around energetics and business on YouTube. And actually, you didn't come up first, but the next day you were on my feed. So there must have been something with the algorithm. And in this case, God bless the algorithm, because I'm so happy to be sitting here across you with the opportunity to be in dialogue with you. I can't tell you what a gift it feels like to wake up and look forward to our time together. So thank you for being here all the way from UK.
Jenny, likewise, thank you so much. It's absolute honor. I cannot wait to share the gift of business energetics with
I'm so excited. What I didn't preface you to before we began is when I'm not totally well versed with all of your work because I'm still learning about it, what I love to do is draw an oracle card and I asked for guidance energetically as to where we could take or explore within our dialogue for the highest interest of every listener and for you and I as vessels of whatever is potent and whatever is alive and wants to come through. So I was shuffling the cards, and the card that flew out, which gives me crazy chills. It's called The Seven Star Sisters, and it's all about birthing creations, the tapestry of life and expression. And for all my listeners who are listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, although please go watch it on YouTube, it is showing an image of women dancing together in organic, flowy fabric, and there's a whole galaxy and universe of light behind them, even though there's the contrast of the darkness. But to me, it looks like the orientation of community and coming together and just living sovereign in your fullest expression and creation. And I'm curious for you, Lenka, as we open up the space, what do you intuitively feel from the card?
What I'm looking at is the new world leaders,
Mm,
is the community of new economy leaders and co-architects of a new economy, because we know and we intuitively feel that the society we've built has got definitely some potent and amazing good stuff in it and amazing energies, and a lot of it is old. What we've been taught about success, what we've been taught about business, what we've
mhm,
been taught about wealth is simply incomplete. And a lot of it is based on wounded masculine energy. Hustle,
mhm.
hustle, grind, grind, proof, proof, push,
Yeah.
push, go, 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 pull your sleeves up and go even further. And it works to a certain extent. And then we get tired. Then we get exhausted. Then we get burned out. Then we find out that it's not worth the sacrifice, that there must be more. The card that you pulled out, Jenny, is that more. To me,
Mm,
what I was looking at is the world that we're co-creating all together. Every one of your listeners who've been called here is
yeah.
co-architect of this new world where we are leaning into building success, business, creations, our own expressions, masterpieces of
Mhm,
life, the way we want them, on purpose and soul, rather than effort and grind and hustle, rather than proving, we'll lean into the infinite wisdom of the heart and soul. And in there, in that card, in that model of the world, in that model, in that world that we creating together, co-anchoring every moment of the day in this new economy, there's so much abundance that
mhm.
when it comes through together, and it's coming through together, it's happening as we speak, and it will, in the next decade, it will drop all together. There is so much abundance that we didn't even dream about it, for everyone, for everyone.
I love that so much. And as you're speaking, like you must be some sort of medicine woman because I could literally feel a charge and a pulse in my body that's like getting revved up with excitement. And I want to properly welcome you, Lenka, because I want every listener to know about your story. I have personally read a little bit about you. You were an immigrant that started working at McDonald's, and I want you to share the rest of the story because it's so impactful, not just for everyone that leaves their homeland, but is embarking on a journey in their life where the iteration is going to impact them in a way that is not the same as they were before making that move. And you know all about this. And I love your story so much. So I would love for you, if it feels good, to just share how you got started and how the energetics of business intersected with your life.
Sure. Thank you so much. Well, I'm one of those souls, like many of us, who deep within we feel that we're here for something bigger.
Hmm.
It was a vague idea living within my heart since teenage years. I simply wanted, some people will say it's very naive or big thinking, change the world. person by person. I wanted to be of massive help to others.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I did come to UK at age of 19, but that's because I rejected the traditional path my family, especially my father, chose for me. As in, I was supposed to start university in September of that year in banking and finance and economy. And my path was set, what was normalized, and I rejected that. I knew I'll never will be fulfilled. And so under the pretense that I'm just going to improve my English over the summer, I came to the UK and actually never came back. So I
Wow.
started to work in McDonald's, and while working there, and actually I love the company. I stayed with them for 6 years, developing my leadership skills, if you like.
Beautiful.
So while working in McDonald's, I studied human mind. I
Mm.
studied psychotherapy, I studied hypnotherapy, I studied counseling, eventually NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And when the time was ripe, I knew I'm ready. I'm ready to simply uh, help other people. I had my little certificates, I had what I needed, and I just jumped
Mm.
naively. At the time, I was 26 years old. I didn't have family, didn't have children. So I simply jumped, I resigned, and whatever offer I was there from the company, will support you, stay longer, and so forth. Nope. I'm resigning. I sold half of the house I managed to actually acquire in that
Oh,
time.
wow.
It was easier back then. It was I got
Right.
it rent as investment. I know, right? Working in McDonald's and I could get a property. I don't.
In your 20s, in your
I know,
20s
right?
and buying a house.
So I sold that for the purpose of studying and getting myself certified so I could actually work with people. So I jumped into that and found very quickly that I became an accidental entrepreneur. As
Mm.
in, yes, I wanted to help people, but I didn't have any sales skills, any marketing skills, none of that. However, the life taught me, and soon enough, I was running pretty beautiful, successful business where I was working with people from all walks of life, including entrepreneurs and doctors, and people were traveling from around the world to come to, at the time, to come my NLP trainings.
Wow.
However, I had some unresolved fears. And this is the first, if gorgeous listeners can take away something from this or from my story, because I'm going a little too long.
No, no, take your time.
Even though I was living in my gift already and in my
Mm.
purpose and everything was seemingly well, I had some serious unresolved fears in me. As
Mm.
in, okay, the business is going well and it's growing. What if I lose it? Because from my childhood, I witnessed the loss of the business and so forth, and what the havoc it can create in the family and so forth.
Right.
I was terrified. What if I lose it all? But because I was so busy serving others, I was just push down that fear. And at the
Mm.
same time, I wanted to grow the business, but not only because I wanted to make more impact, but I was also driven by this fear. Make yourself safe, run away from this not safety. And
Mm.
in that energy, when I really wanted to be saved, that's what I wanted to be saved. I attracted a person into my life, into my business, a mentor that was a corporate psychopath.
Mm.
And uh, thanks to him, I'll say now, at the time, because of him, I brought my business, or my business was brought to the ground. I really lost it all.
Wow.
My deepest fears were manifested. And that's because I never dared to really face them. I was just pushing them down with action, with praying to the universe, with what do I need to do, moving. But I never actually did the deep energetic work when I was facing my fears and alchemizing my fears. So anyway, so I lost my business, and by that point I had children, I had family, so the stakes were higher. I was no longer 26-year-old naive immigrant who had nothing to
Right.
lose. So the stakes were much higher. And I was married already at the time, and this crisis created crisis all around in my life. As in, I decided, okay, I lost this business to this psychopath, but I'm going to rebuild it again. I'm going to live my dream. So what another mistake I did, which I didn't know was a mistake, but I didn't know any better. I approached this again with more resolve, more determination, which, by the way, if you're trying to solve a problem with more resolve and more determination, you're going to end up in a deeper trouble than before because we're using the same energy. I must solve this. So I was working 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, attending any networking event, doing lots of free speeches, talking from stages, and so forth and so forth. Again, I want to make my business successful. But guess
Yeah.
what? Clients were not coming.
Mm.
I would be speaking on a stage as I can help you with this X, Y, and Z, having this powerful persona mask. And off the stage, I would go to car crying. Why? Nobody wants to work with me. Why is it so hard? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And I was ready to give up because this lasted close to 2 years. I was deep in a trench of being still angry with that mentor that ripped me off the business. So I was
Yeah.
my victim was fully alive and I was grinding and trying to solve the situation through hard work. It never works. And
Hmm.
then in the depths of this despair, I was driving one time from one of these networking events crying. And I was so ready to give up. I really thought, God, what is wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me because I have this huge desire to serve the world. And nothing is happening. There must be something wrong with me. And I experienced what I can describe only as a little divine intervention when I somewhere inside of me, I don't know if it was a voice or feeling, but it was knowing. It was a divine voice saying something like, and I'm paraphrasing, I would not plant this desire in your heart if you were not meant to live it.
Powerful message.
That's such a powerful message that at the time I took it to heart, and it not only saved my life, but it was the beginning of all the incredible amazingness that I'm living today. That
Wow.
desire that we have in our hearts are not there randomly. They're not fragments of our imagination. They're not the matter of wouldn't it be nice if. What
Right.
if those desires are really the voice of God? What if this desire is the whisper of our next becoming? That's what I learned our desires are, whispers of our next becoming, invitation to lean in into who else we're meant to be, into how else we're meant to channel and express the universe within ourselves. It's how the universe speaks through us. It's how the universe experiences itself through us. We're the
Hmm.
voice of the universe, the hands of the universe, the eyes of the universe. And desires lead us to exact how we're supposed to expand the universe and help it to experience itself. So I felt that message cellularly at that time. And I had this image in my mind where I was on a stage and working with women, empowering women entrepreneurs through empowering women entrepreneurs. So I had it on my mind and I told myself, okay, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to believe in this desire I'm going to believe more in this desire than what is happening around me.
Mm.
Then I'm going to believe more to what my heart wants, to what I'm experiencing, like rejection, stuckness, and so forth. I'm going to
Yeah.
believe and I'm going to let this desire to guide me. And it guided me and it made me uncomfortable. So I made that next step and next step and next step. And there were few other key moments, one of which was again a message that said, connect spirituality and structure business,
Mm.
connect soul, the feminine and masculine. And I came out of the spiritual closet. This is what became business energetics. And this is what not only completely revolutionized my business, my life, but it revolutionized lives and businesses of thousands of entrepreneurs from 184 countries so far and
Wow.
growing. So together we are co-creating this new economy through business energetics, which is marriage, which is essentially business energetics is making our business, whatever that business is, creative outlet for our soul
Hmm.
through marrying divine feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah.
That's what business energetics is.
I love that so much. There's so many things I want to like little nuggets of wisdom throughout everything you shared. And I just want to validate what you went through. Sorry you had to go through that. And I think it's so beautiful that you were able to take that and shape it into something that has rippled out and impacted the world in such a powerful way for the world that you're in service to. And this actually makes me think of a quote by Albert Einstein, which is you cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. And I'm not saying that you called in the partner
Second.
that you had that was a psychopath that you
Yeah.
said, but rather, like, I remember reading something else that said sometimes the things that bring us here are not the same things that will get us there. And so, as you were sharing how you had all that energy of fear within you, it sort of echoes that. It's like we want things to succeed, we want to grind hard, but when we do it at a point where we're overriding our own truth, it doesn't operate in a way as such that allows us to experience that expansion, because it's still tethered to the root of something that got us there maybe in the first place, but isn't no longer aligned with everything that you are
Oh,
birthing, which
absolutely.
yeah, which ties so beautifully to the card of birthing creations, the tapestry of life and expression, which is why I love that that flew out. And one thing I want to share with my community is I have your book and I actually meant to bring it with me to my
I
table,
got
but
it.
you've got it. Yes. I just want to share something that I found on the internet before our time together. Two reviews that, and when I actually ordered your book, I didn't read the reviews because I just felt drawn to your work. And today I decided I'm going to read some of the reviews. And this is one from an engineer from Canada, where I am. And he says, I have taken several business, sales, and marketing coaching. And as an engineer, I used to be fully logically driven instead of considering energetic dimension. And you can guess the outcome. As a vessel slash container, I was not ready to receive growth. I was not ready energetically to handle the challenges that would come with growth. I have massive shifts in mindset and I'm already seeing massive positive changes and me handling things more gracefully because of this book. I was looking for a book that merges spirituality and business a bit more. I asked the universe a question and this is one of the books that sort of appeared. Synchronicity, I believe. I am not done yet, but so far what I read, I can relate to and I'm seeing positive changes and I'm loving it. Oh, and I was able to help another person with my shift in energy too. That is driven by Lenka's work. I just came to know about her recently. Thank you for the book, Lenka. Your presence is magnificent. So that's one. And I want to read a second one if that's okay. This is from someone in India, and she says, this is the best book ever. Hands down, my most favorite book of all the times. This book should be worth hundreds of dollars because the value is 100 times worth more than the cost of it. If you are a business entrepreneur and tired of traditional marketing and all the strategies and have been struggling to run your business, and in capital letters, she writes, this is a must-have book. Every page is a breakthrough in itself. I'm a huge fan of Lenka, and when I read the first 4 pages of the book, I was sold to her forever and got hooked to her. And after that, I purchased different courses and also joined her high-end course. It's been 2 months since I met Lenka through this book, and my biz has already shifted to another level in unimaginable ways. I have doubled my prices, selling with ease and confidence. You know what I mean to say with this review when you actually buy it and read it, with a big heart at the end. I have had lots of guests on my show, and some of them have written books, but I haven't always been able to read the reviews out loud like that. And I have chills reading it because, as a writer myself, if someone ever wrote that about anything, and I have a ways to go to write something of that level yet, but reading it as someone that has your book and hasn't fully dove into it yet felt like a gift, to feel the energy palpable through the words of people from all over the world based on a desire you received in your heart. And just like hearing the beginning of your story, Forbes magazine online wrote an article about you, which I researched back in 2018. And thereafter, other things written about you. And it was the 6 most influential things that every entrepreneur should know. And I remember one of those 6 things was make your service bigger than your fear. So, Lenka, you're amazing and you have a gift. And I'm so glad you are in this world to trust those desires and teach women and other humans how to do this too. As a mother of a 2 and 4-year-old, I am so honored to learn from you and be here with you again. I know I said that already, but I'm a little bit like, whew, I'm just so excited. So the book, can we dive into energetic selling and business and just how I want to know, like, as a mama, because I know you have 3 boys, right? How
Yes.
old are they?
16, 15, 9.
You look really young to have 16, 15, and 9.
Thank you.
I have a 4 and 2-year-old, and in a lot of ways, and in the infancy of of building my business, but what you speak to about the energetics. And I've been in one of your containers where it was like a transmission of all the different chakras and just moving through the activations. It was the seven gates or the eight gates. I
Yes,
can't
yes,
remember.
we initiated into wealth. Yes, yes.
Yes. So I know I've had a taste of how impactful and like contagious your energy is. And so the book and being a mother, I would love to know how these two things intersected because there are a lot of mothers that are listening to this
Sure.
and they have heart-centered work they want to get out in the world. How might you offer advice to a mother who's maybe in the weeds of that journey, but also can't ignore the fact that I also have this woman inside the mother that has this dream and I want to marry both the motherhood and the service while
Oh,
not abandoning either one. You know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean, Jenny. Totally what
Tell
you mean.
me. Tell
Thank
me.
you. Tell me. Where do we start? This is a big discussion. So this is what's coming to me. Where do we start? First
Mm,
and foremost, if I introduce this idea that truly anything is possible, that it's possible to be fulfilled as a mother, as a wife, perhaps,
mm,
and as a change maker, entrepreneur, that it's truly anything is possible for you, Jenny, and for everyone who's listening, that it's possible to have it all, so to speak. That in fact is what your soul wants, what the universe wants.
mhm,
The universe within us, or God within us, whatever, however you want to frame it, never said you've got to sacrifice in some way. Who
mhm,
said that is only the human. It's the limiting beliefs in a simplest way we picked up on a way that makes us sometimes feel that we've got to sacrifice one for the other.
mhm,
So first, my first advice would be make up that greatest desire that you have it all. What would it look like? What would it feel like? Go there. Give yourself to that desire. Open your heart because it's through the heart's desire we will manifest it.
mhm,
Many women think that it's not that it's almost like we've got to do this balancing act. Yes, I've got to take care of my children. I've got to be quote unquote good mother, and I
right.
want to run a business. There is only this much time, and I'm here to tell, based on, of course, my own experience, and I've lived
Mhm,
through this all, that the reason why it sometimes feels impossible or hard to have it all, so to speak, is because simply limiting patterns we picked up along the way, limiting ways of looking at things, limiting perceptions. I
mhm,
call this aspect of ourselves little human, as in the program aspect of ourselves that knows what we know based on what we learned from society, from our parents, from our own
mhm,
experiences. We made certain decisions and so forth. So that includes some good stuff, as in perceptions and ways of looking at things and beliefs that are supporting us, but also plenty of stuff and ways of looking at things that is not supporting us. So
right.
it includes our subconscious mind. So we've got to, through our awareness, here's the key, through our awareness, we've got to become aware of what is it that I'm telling myself that makes it hard or makes it impossible. So
Mhm,
one of the things that we do tell ourselves is that, again, from my experience, is that if I don't spend a lot of time with my children, what is expected, if I'm not there all the time,
mhm,
I'm going to be less of a mother, or it's going to hurt my children in some way, or I'm not going to be as good mother as I can be. So the
mhm,
equate amount of time we spend with our children with how good mothers we are or how much we give
mhm,
them. Okay. And that is that viewpoint. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not healthiest. In fact, I teach something in my program called energetic archetypes. And one
mhm,
of the polarities of archetypes is about the self value, the
mhm,
value, how much value, how we see ourselves in our identity as self-worth and self-value, and therefore how the world can see us. So
right.
it's to do with pricing, it's to do with everything. And what we're talking about here is, on one spectrum, is I call it the whore archetype or the prostitute
The
archetype.
prostitute
Not,
archetype.
yes, not in disrespectful way, but it's aspect of us that
Mhm,
is always fulfilling the source of the value is external. We source the value
mhm,
through other people, through how much time we give them, through validation and so forth. And we do this in motherhood as well. I need
right.
to give my kids maximum amount of time to be worthy mother. Okay.
Mm,
Now it's the prostitute in us that always wants to give maximum. to our children, to family, to friends, to our clients.
Right.
Overworking, overgiving, bonuses, working outside of our lack of the boundaries. This is not healthy. And we've got
Mhm.
to be aware. So the other aspect of it, the polar opposite of it, same energy of the value and worth is the queen archetype. This
Mhm.
is as the queens, we all have it in ourselves when we are standing in our divinity, in our
Mhm.
inherent value that we all have because we are. There is no other justification needed. As the queen or king of the life,
Mhm.
we don't give maximum to nobody. We give our best. And that's a huge difference.
Yes.
So what if we switch the viewpoint of I've got to give my children maximum to I've got to give them the best. So for me, I freed myself right from the beginning that no, I don't have to spend every hour of the day to be with my children, to have deep, meaningful relationship with the children and give them the best.
Mhm.
So does it mean that means I spend maybe less time than your typical mother? I still spend time. I still spend time. I don't know. I don't want to put it in time, but I'm looking at the presence and quality of time I'm spending with my children.
Right.
Even if it's sometimes for half an hour a day. You know what? When that half an hour is fully present, is fully there, it's sometimes worth more than 5 or 6 hours of not present.
Mhm.
Yes. So that's one of the things that's coming through, or one of the limiting perceptions we often hold that prevents us to have it all.
Mhm.
Second one is, and again, we're talking here we're working with the same archetype, and that is that I've got to do it all.
Mm.
Only I
Yeah.
can do it best in this way. So we're
Right.
so powerful women. We're so trained. We learned that I'm independent, I'm powerful, I'm strong woman. So I'm going to find solution and I'm going to even help other people. I'm the strong one in the family. So again, I'm going to give and not receive. I cannot tell you inside of Business Energetics Academy how many of our dear, incredible clients are powerful, high level leaders who, through all their life, were holding it for others,
Mm.
holding families, holding success, go high flyers, and they come exhausted because they
Yeah.
actually never been held. And we've got to learn, every one of us, it's our sacred duty to learn to be held, to learn to be
So
held
true.
by the energy, by field, by desire, by divine masculine. And it can start from little things such as, you know what? I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to ask for support, maybe with my children, or maybe here, or maybe there. I'm going to be strengthening my boundary, ask for help, receive help, receive the compliments. So little things like that, expanding that energy can
Mm.
go a really, really, really long way. Third, I'm not believing in balancing of life and work, that I compartmentalizing, or I'm going to spend this much time by computer or by whatever, building my business, or working in my business or working with my
Mhm.
clients, and then I switch off the work, and then I'm going to spend this much time with myself or with my family and so forth. I don't believe in that. I
Mm.
believe that the purpose of life is to be in our fullness, is to be widely, deliciously alive. This is what I was teaching inside of my own programs. And the quote is, my purpose is to be widely, fully, widely, divinely alive.
I love
And
that.
wherever we go, so whether it's half day or 1 hour or nothing today to do with the business, but if I'm wildly present, wildly alive in my business, and
Mhm.
I'm there, and then I go and do a little bit of gardening. I'm so present in my gardening, and I'm so in with earth, and in that moment, within that beingness, the best ideas comes. I'm being recharged from within. The
Mhm.
next communication comes that feeds my business. Maybe then I will go and play with my children, and because I'm so present and alive, maybe I let my inner child go, and in that playfulness, the manifestation can happen, client can come, and so forth and so forth. So it's all one thing. It's being. I enjoy growing the business and making impact through being rather than compartmentalizing and doing.
Yeah.
You can just lean into that a little more and more. It shifts things. So this
Wow.
is would be my opening, or in a nutshell, offload what served me and many others when it comes to stepping into, or just accepting that we can be incredibly powerful mothers because we are, and powerful change makers and entrepreneurs all at the same time. It all works in harmony.
Thank you for sharing your own personal experience around that. And I'm curious, when you reflect on that journey for yourself, are you speaking to your motherhood stage of when they were a lot younger, or did this really take off once they got a little bit older?
It really happened with my third one.
Your third
So
one.
yes, as in my first two boys, they came when I was still in the first part of, or my first business, and then I lost the business. And my youngest one was born at humble beginnings of my business, what it is now.
Mm,
But
okay.
when I got pregnant with him, I already changed my mindset. I already had that moment connect spirituality with business.
Yeah.
I started to approach it differently. And I started to really inspect every of my views.
Mm,
So I got pregnant and oh, okay, is it gonna be a delay in that success? No, 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 no. My
mm.
little one is going to be my best business partner. And so I used everything that was happening as enriching my business and my vision and life. So, for instance, uh, I'll share a fun story. When towards the end of that pregnancy, I felt like many women do, nesting period, and I wanted to tidy up and paint everything. So I was. So for about a month, I completely switched on from my business, and at that time, it was already growing. My business as it is now. It was already started to bloom. But I felt really, really intuitively, I felt like nesting. So nesting I was. And I was painting everything, the furniture, to the point where I had to buy some old furniture so I could paint some more. But in the time I was visioning, I was with my dreams. There's something, isn't it, about
Oh,
nesting,
yeah.
preparation for something more. And the little one came. And at that time, because I was already started to live by the principle that I believe my vision, I believe my purpose, I believe my desire, I believe that I'm seeing more than what I see. So I knew that the business is going to bloom more and more. I knew it. I felt it, as in I trusted it. I
Mhm.
trusted it. I decided to trust it. So at the time, we had a conversation with my husband, and I said, "Look, the little one is coming. What would happen if you retire temporarily, quote unquote, and you stayed home and give us the space, give me the space, and you'll be that holding." And it was courageous steps for both of us. He
Yeah.
fitted for him, and the his personality of my husband perfectly is his very very high priority on the list of values, family. So it worked out beautifully. So he resigned and he stayed at home, which was quantum leap for me, meaning it was big risk,
Mhm.
but again, it paid off. So because I had that space, I had that holding and so forth.
Yeah.
So I started to, I used everything as a way to strengthen my vision and work towards my vision. And I remember so there were some times where I was making sales call with the little one, on my knees, and
Mhm.
that's fine. But everything that was happening, I told myself, this is enriching my
Mhm.
business. This is enriching my clients. This is enriching my purpose rather than taking away from it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. It makes me think of a few things. Yesterday in meditation, I'm a student of somatic therapy, and we practice working with the grid of life and the energy bodies. And one of the downloads I received was, how can you be fully where you are if you are not willing to be fully with who you are? And
I
so
do. Yes.
yeah, and it like when you were speaking to how we have this tendency, like I know I did that at the start where I would compartmentalize, like, okay, this is time for motherhood, this is time for creativity. And I love the emphasis of you saying it's not about fragmenting everything, but rather bringing all of who you are to each of those things. And so what I'm receiving from that is, I wonder if it's not so much about compartmentalizing as it is the presence we can offer to any given moment, and how our awareness has the potential to shift everything. Oh, and it just like, it makes me think of this quote by Carl, or no, I think it's Rumi. And it says, no, he says, we do not go seeking for love, but rather we remove the walls and barriers through which we are kept far apart from it. And it makes me think of our own divinity and our inherent abundance, how it's not that it's not there, but rather the thoughts and maybe lack of awareness of what is available to us keeps us far apart from that innate state of being. And so when you're speaking to your gardening, which I've seen your garden, so beautiful because you share it in your stories. I can see how that would help be a support for your transmissions because it's almost like reflecting the beauty you're already feeling within your frequency. And how, like, your baby on your lap as you're doing a sales call can be. I love how you said that. You acted as if it was all a part of the tapestry of what you were creating. And that's your
Absolutely.
shift in consciousness right there. Like when you're shifting your perspective, your thought before form, then the reflection might be one as such where, yes, it's true. And here's more.
Beautiful, thank you. Yes, it's essentially the assumption or the knowing that everything is happening for me. And you mentioned the word, the who identity, because you study somatic therapies.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we also mention a lot identity, who we are, and we
Yeah.
also mention mind. So to me, this is the trinity of
Yeah.
self, of manifestation, of everything we want to desire to create. It's the identity, who we consider ourselves to be. That's one aspect of it. The other one is our mind. I call it lovingly our little human, the programmed self.
Yeah.
And the third aspect is the somatic nervous system.
Yeah.
So so every moment of the day, whatever we do or don't do, we are someone. So
Mm-hmm.
who are we when we
Mm-hmm.
breastfeed or attend to the clients or multitask? Who are we? Who are we? Who are we doing it or being it as? As
Mm-hmm.
the one stuck in a prison of what is and thinking what I haven't done yet or what I haven't achieved it or how is it
Right.
my current self. Or I can go and do the same thing. I can go to that meeting. I can go to breastfeed, or I can go to the garden, or I can have 5 minutes of that walk that I'm doing as the divine CEO of the
Yeah.
fully accomplished business, fully claimed self, the
Mm-hmm.
next level identity. And I can bring that into anything I do or don't do. And in that, of course, our mind is receiving new patterns,
Yeah.
receiving new awarenesses, and our body is learning through these feelings, is receiving new experiences, our nervous system.
Yeah.
So we are manifesting in this way. We can be manifesting in this way all the time through this braid, whatever we do, through this braiding of presence, being who we are.
Yeah, it's so true. It makes me think about like almost reverse engineering that which we say we want to desire. So if I desire to create a best-selling book, what would the best-selling author version of me bring to this now moment that would allow me to elicit the emotions and feelings that that particular experience might represent for me? And I actually experienced this within our home. Like we want to get more space. And I felt rushed. Like I was rushing past the feelings I was feeling. And I'm curious how you process this. But as a somatic student practitioner, I believe you can't bypass your feelings. Like you can't think your way out of feeling something. And it's really important to allow them the space to express so that we could clear it. Otherwise, my belief is that your body has to hold it and it comes back down and you experience reflections that show that wound. But when I stopped rushing past those feelings of like, why do I want more space? Why do I feel like we need a bigger home right now? And starting to meet it and bring it closer to me with curiosity and wonder instead of like rushing past the uncomfortableness. What I noticed was the question didn't become, how do I get to my next home? But rather, how do I cultivate home within? How do I create space within myself? Because if space is what I'm attaching to this next home, is there mental and energetic decluttering that I'm being invited to explore within myself before first bringing that home material in my life? And it was a very, I've heard you describe this before as an earthquake in your life. It was a very like cosmic 2x4 hitting
Yeah.
me because I had to be humbled and brought down to my knees, talking to God and the God within myself. Like, what would she do? What would she tell me about this? And what is below the current of wanting? Like, I just feel like as mothers and as women and humans in general, when we first want something, maybe a powerful thing we can explore first is what is underneath the current of wanting and where can you bring that inside yourself first. I'm curious how you feel about that.
This is beautiful. Yes. Well, I'm perceiving it in a very similar way. It's essentially the same thing, which I call it that our desire has got so much intelligence in it. And if we only allow ourselves to use it, that
Yeah.
intelligence, desire to me is one of the most sacred things
Hmm.
that there is. Oftentimes we've been taught that desire is wrong, or
Yeah.
you're okay to desire some things, but you're not okay to desire other things. Or, is
Or
this
you're
my ego
selfish.
desire? Yes, or you're selfish. No, 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 no. This is just a collective shadow put on desire. Desire is sacred. It's a whisper of our next becoming. And desire carries within it very, very powerful data, energetic data.
Mm.
It's a frequency of who we're meant to be. It's the soul whispering to us. And so, first thing I would say is not to judge whether it's, do I want it because egoistically, do I want it for me, or do I want it for
Yeah.
not judge, because this desire will fulfill both the soul and the ego
Mhm.
mind needs. So what you've done there, I call it to use the data that energy holds and use it to close the frequency gap, you
Mm.
know. So what you've done there with your desire for home is, okay, what is it? Why do I want this? I desire space, so how can I become that space now? So
Yeah.
that's the data that is already there. That desire carries your next self frequency, who you are.
Hmm.
So that particular desire is a symbol. That home is a symbol. So when you manifest that desire, you'll get home, spacious home, but also plenty of other spacious things.
Right.
Maybe more space in time, maybe more space in freedom, time
Yeah.
freedom, and so forth. So you took that data from that desire, you listened to the wisdom of your heart, and okay, so how can I become that? Be that
Mm.
desire, be that, and what's underneath? What's the energy of that now? So how
Yeah.
can I allow be that space? So as for you, whatever came through, let go of this or let go of that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you literally now embodying with listening to that intuitive guidance, you're embodying more and more the frequency of who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
You're essentially calling it into your body and you're becoming that. So you're manifesting that, you see?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we can do it with anything. Another example that I just shared today with my community is, well, I want to be best-selling author. I want to have a New York Times bestseller, but I don't know if it's egoistic desires. Well, it doesn't matter. Yes, it might be desire because you want to make a huge impact. So you want a bestseller,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also it might be because you want to be respected and
Mm.
famous and you want to be taken as authority. Take the data. So
Mhm.
how can you step into be authority now? What would be like
Right.
if I considered myself to be authority, if I fully respected myself? What would I change? What would be different? Where maybe would I say no? There is so much data. And you take the data and start listening to the guidance that comes, you implement, you make yourself uncomfortable, because I bet, Jenny, that when you start listening to the guidance from the desire, is not always comfortable, is it? Because
No,
it's
it
all
was,
enough.
I
Yes.
cried a lot.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Because it always, desire always calls us beyond the next threshold of ourselves. We're becoming
Yeah.
bigger, more of ourselves. So there's always that uncomfortableness, the threshold, and that's sacred. I call it divine discomfort.
It's
Yes.
so sacred. It's just like birth.
Yes.
Every contraction is bringing our baby closer to us. And yeah, it's interesting the woman I met in that curiosity told me, declutter your home. Like, look at the thoughts you're holding and, like, do you actually need this and that? It was the most simple messaging and very powerful, even in the mundane. And then things started shifting, like, within days. It was crazy, but I had to live months of very much thinking that I had to do things on the outside without connecting within myself first, like thinking I needed to look for the home and find the best advice and this and that, when all I had to do when I finally surrendered to that discomfort was go inward. And then from that inward place, listen to that counsel, to that source of wisdom that I was being offered. But I could not hear it and be fully where I was because I wasn't allowing who I fully am by eradicating the piece of me that was like, I want more space, but why? And I love what you said about you can't judge it, because how often do we judge ourselves, and then that places an emphasis on individuality when we actually have to look at the whole, like our whole self, without judging it. Because I believe the same as you, that there's a wise intelligence behind all of our parts, and when we begin to get to know them, it doesn't mean we have to live from the place of us that is fearful, but that fear is also informing us of something that we're afraid of perhaps losing or perhaps trying. And that perhaps on the other side of it is something exponentially expansive. So thank you for naming those little nuggets, especially about the non-judgment part, because that was a really beautiful reminder for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. And if I may just close this little section, I've read about this in a book, Energetic Selling and Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What truly helped me, so I always share it as much as I can, is to really allow ourselves, even for small segments of a day, and then expand this more and more, to really walk and be in that identity of next self. So what I did back then, in that space where I was rebuilding my business, and when I already had those few downloads,
Mm-hmm.
started intuitively, or I was led to walk my, at the time, two boys, and I was, I believe, pregnant with, doesn't matter, but I was walking them to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided intuitively that walk, which was only 6 minutes long, I'm not going to walk home as a woman who is struggling at the moment
Mm-hmm.
and has no clients, and has got lots of desires. I'm walking home as a £250,000 a year business owner. That's what that was for me the biggest desire I could conceive at the time. So I dropped my kids to school and I walked home for 6 minutes
Mm-hmm.
as business owner of a
Beautiful.
£250,000 a year business. And I would just carry that energy in me. This is who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe smile a little wider.
Yeah.
I would carry myself a little taller. I was thinking, what would be different? Maybe not much else. Maybe I would wear the same clothes if I really had that type of business. But I
Mm-hmm.
would be looking forward to home. There would be more structure. There would be appointments with my clients and so forth. I would be carrying that energy for 6 minutes a day. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of the most powerful time collapsing moments. Time collapsing meaning collapsing time when we put ourselves on a timeline, the golden timeline of divinity, nature, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily I'll have it tomorrow because sometimes it's not healthy,
Yeah.
but at the most natural evolving way. I know things did really shifted things, that when my business started to grow and so forth, through 6 minutes a day. And it doesn't have to be 6 minutes a day. It's simply about encouragement, whether it's 6 minutes a day, whether it's 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there, or anywhere in the day, uh,
Mm-hmm.
to wear the carry that next level identity here and now, rather than perceive it as future, as something that I will become, but
Right.
rather I am that already, because we are.
I
I think
love
it's the
that.
Neville Goddard said that the only reason why you don't have what you desire is because you haven't fully accepted that you are that already.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And something about our brain and our thoughts is that it can't discern if something is happening 10 years ago or right now or in the future. So it's really beautiful we can change our thoughts. We may not be able to control how we feel, but what you were saying earlier about the nervous system is we can expand our capacity to hold those frequencies. And so just being in the practice of that, 6 minutes, everybody, I hope, has 6 minutes a day.
We spend them somehow anyway. It's just in what identity we spent those 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's so true. And it makes me think of how we perceive definitions around certain things and how certain definitions can constrain us. So, what would it feel like if we were to shift our perspective on things or be willing and outrageously open to an identity shift or
Yes.
different type of feeling? And so, I'm curious for you. I know you mentioned just a minute ago one of the things you want to call in is being a New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
And I would love to know for you, what would that New York Times bestseller version of you tell Lenka today? as
Yes.
one imperfect step she can take in this moment to
Okay.
exude that energy.
Okay. Well, I'm here now. I'm doing
Yeah.
that step with you. I'm being that step with you. What else? Well, that version of me is definitely going to relax after this.
Yeah.
I believe I believe I'm living. This is my sacred work. See,
Yeah.
Jenny. So every day, I'm not I'm not 100% in that in identity of the next version of self all the time. We're human. I'm not. But this is
Absolutely.
personally. I will tell you. I will start my day as that every day.
Hmm.
So before, in early days of my business, I would start my day by speaking to my operations manager, business manager, first thing in the morning, like 7 a.m. Let's talk, let's organize our day. And I stopped doing that. Now my calls with my team is much later,
Mm. Yeah.
because the early part of the day is me and my energy and my desire. I feel desire, and our energy is the
Yeah.
biggest manifestation in business tool. So I always put myself in that energy of that day, first thing in the morning. And then what that version is telling me, oh, I've learned to implement it like crazy fast.
Yeah.
Crazy fast. It's, even before the human mind can tell me, oh, it's too simple. It's too. One of my dear clients, Business Energetics Academy clients, just shared, oh, she just celebrated first 70K month, 70,000 pound
Wow.
month, which is beautiful and a huge, huge leap for her. And she said, because what came to me through this energy work, that simplify, 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 to the point my mind was telling me, like, but who is going to want this when it's going to be so
Mm.
simple? But I did that so fast because I don't want to invite that human mind to come in and argue too much. So I let go of all the structures. I kept 10% of structures in my business, and my business in the same month quantum leaped into like 3 or 4 times higher.
Wow.
So that's important to me as well. I'm doing my best to quickly implement, or just go, or embody, call it what you like, to make that choice and go for it, whatever is being offered to me from that energy. Because otherwise, I know, and I've certainly done it plenty of times, that I'm delaying my becoming.
Mm.
So as for today is the evening. Now is the evening of my
Yes.
time. So my high self would certainly go and rest afterwards.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we shall see.
Yeah. And can we please make rest cool again? Like slowing down is also a superpower.
Absolutely.
Honoring that is very sacred. And I
Yes.
feel like a lot of women have forgotten how, including myself at times. So I just want to honor our time. And there's probably about 5 minutes left in our conversation, if that's all right with you. Do you have about 5 more minutes? So just to tie everything back, I have two more questions. And I want to bring it back to this beautiful card of birthing creations, the tapestry of life and expression. And I would love for you just to take those elements. And if you could tell Lenka that immigrated to the UK something really wise from the Lenka you are this day that's built empires and helped so many women and mothers and other humans change their life with business and energy and marrying those two together, what would you tell her? To the Lenka that didn't know how it would all go, to the Lenka that had to experience the collapse of something that mattered to her at the start, to the Lenka that struggled in some parts where she didn't know if she could go on, what would you say?
Huge, big question. Okay, I would tell her, Lenka, believe, trust what's in your heart and mind, because it's inevitable. This is who you truly are, what you're tapping into when you're dreaming, when you're thinking about what you could be, what your heart desires. You're tapping into your truth of who you truly are.
Mm,
It's inevitable. And as you take that next step, whatever is showing up from you from that energy, the next step will appear. You don't need to know all the journey. You shouldn't know all the journey. That next step is enough. It doesn't matter how small that step is. And oftentimes you'll be confused and you will feel you're stuck. But you've got to tell yourself, this is the part of the journey. It's the next level of growth when I'm stuck or when I don't know what's next. That doesn't mean that my higher self lied to me before. That doesn't mean I need to go in circles. No, I'll just apply what that Albert Einstein said, that from the you cannot achieve more from the same level
mhm.
of consciousness. So if you ever feel stuck, if you ever feel confused, first attend that energy and make that energetic shift, that identity shift from within. So if you feel
Mhm.
stuck, think of how amazing it feels when you clear. Acknowledge that that clarity is coming. If
Mhm.
you feel in lack, acknowledge that abundance is there. How amazing it would feel if you were abundant, because it's there for everyone. So how amazing it is when it comes for you. And wouldn't it be great if open that door to that awareness, to that energy that is the match to what you're becoming. And then that next step will come from that place. That next stone will come from that place. So don't look from the next stones from the need or from the lack or from how do I fix it. Never ever. No. Shift your energy first to where it wants to be, and the next right step and the right stone will appear from you. And in this way, just like the car in the darkness,
Mhm.
will show you just few meters, few feet in front of you, but that car can drive for thousands of miles. And in the same way, you will take your business, your life to the length, to the depths, to the length, to the heights you never ever even dreamed about before. That's all.
I love that. It's so beautiful to witness you channel in this moment. And I picture, because I've seen just a brief history of your journey, and I picture that Lenka speaking to this Lenka now. And it's really an honor to hold space for witnessing that. And thank you for that. And the last thing I want to ask you, besides buying your book, and I'm wondering if you could just pull it up again to the screen so everyone can see what it looks like. Energetic selling and marketing. Everyone go get this book. Don't walk, run and get it. If you're building business or already in business, not only in business, but also wisdom for life. You can order that through Amazon and I believe through your website, Lenka. Is that correct? And
Correct.
I would love for you to share how people can work with you.
So for Business Energetics, we have Business Energetics Academy. There are four core pathways or programs or containers, if you love, like for full embodiment of business energetics. So it's all on the website. And for more awareness and activations, YouTube channel is there, Lenka Lutonska, which has started to actively build, as in to drop twice a week activations and wisdom around business energetics. So YouTube is there for that.
Beautiful. And I love Lenka's YouTube channel. Everyone listening to this, there's so much, even on your Instagram, which is Lenka Lutonska, at Lenka Lutonska, right? Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we'll put all of her contact in the show notes, but the YouTube channel and your Instagram page gives away so much beautiful, free, very useful and supportive free content. So thank you, Lenka, for being here. Thank you for your wisdom, your work, your energy, your presence. I'm so glad you are in this world, and I am so honored to have been in conversation with you today. Thank you for
Thank
being
you
here.
so much, guys. Anthony, you gave me so much. I really want to thank you. And I don't know why I feel cold, but I would love to just share something before we say goodbye to
Yes,
each other.
I would
And
love that.
it's just a little message, because you asked me what would I say to my past Lenka. And
Mhm.
it's almost like I also would love to say thank you to that Lenka. And that reminded me for all of us to really say thank you to that current and past versions of self that sometimes we don't look at ourselves with so much reverence and love as we deserve, because it's that past Lenka, that little Lenka, that Lenka in lack, that Lenka in desperation, Lenka in vulnerability, that is the source of today's the CEO of a huge company that changes the world and so forth. And so it's with all of us in every stage. So I think we should give ourselves so much grace and love to especially to our current and past versions of ourselves, because we are already so powerful that we cannot even perceive it.
Thank you for ending it on that note, and such an important message for everybody listening to validate where you are now is exactly what will help you emerge to where you want to grow. And thank you, Lenka. Thank you, past Lenka. And thank you, past every version of ourselves that was here and the present and everything that we brought to this space together. So I appreciate you so much. And thank you again.
Thank you.